What's good, YouTube? With free agency basically wrapped up at this point, I thought it'd be the perfect time to start ranking positions for next season. This offseason was absolutely nuts, and I can't express how excited I am for next season. With that being said, I like to start my rankings with the top 10 point guards for next season. The point guard position is, in my opinion, the most stacked position talent wise in the NBA. So if you disagree with any of my rankings, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. Besides me thoroughly thinking about my top 10, nothing else in this video was scripted. These are my off-the-top takes on each player I mentioned. Before we get to the top 10, let's talk about some honorable mentions. Quick disclaimer real quick before I get into the honorable mentions. None of these clips are mine. The links to the original videos will be in the description box below. So if you want to go show love to the people that made these highlight packages, make sure you go down to the description box and all the links will be down there. Now let's get to the honorable mentions. Just barely missing out on the top 10, we got LaMelo Ball, De'Aaron Fox, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They're all really young, so maybe one day they can all crack the top 10 in their own right, but only time will tell for that. Alright, so coming in at number 10, we have Jrue Holiday, the Milwaukee Bucks. I understand it's going to be kind of a little controversial putting the starting point guard for the team that just won the championship down at number 10, but it's just, like I said at the beginning of the video, the point guard position is super stacked, and it's really hard to put Jrue Holiday above any of the people I got above him. Looking at Jrue Holiday's stats for the 2020-22 or 21 season, we have 17.7 points per game, 6.1 assists, 4.5 rebounds, 50% from the field, and 39% from three. Now, at this point, you know what you get with Jrue Holiday. He's 31 years old. You get elite defense from the point guard position, probably the best defender at that position in the entire NBA. Maybe Ben Simmons, who a lot of people are probably going to scrutinize me for not even putting as an honorable mention, but we saw what happened against the Hawks in the playoffs this last season. Jrue Holiday was criticized, like the Bucks more than Jrue Holiday. The Bucks were criticized for signing Jrue Holiday to that big contract, and a lot of people really weren't happy with it, but it paid out. They're champions now. Jrue Holiday also, congratulations, just won a gold medal with the Olympic team. There's not much you can say to discredit Jrue Holiday at this point. Like, he's the champion. He's the best defender at his position besides maybe Ben Simmons. He's just an elite point guard. Coming in at number 9, we have Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets. In the 2020-2021 season, he averaged 21.2 points per game, 4.8 assists per game, 4 rebounds per game, 48% from the field, and 41% from three. Jamal Murray is widely underrated in my opinion. He's obviously, like I'm putting him here, top 10 point guard of the NBA. The Nuggets definitely missed him whenever he tore his ACL. They really needed his playmaking and his scoring ability, like 41% from three. That's elite percentage. He's a great scorer. His assist numbers are a little low for like the point guard position, 4.8, but that's because Jokic is like the primary ball handler, so we can't really knock him for that. Everything else he does phenomenally. I mean, he's a average defender. He's an elite scorer. He can score from anywhere on the floor. He's just one of those guys that any team in the NBA would love to have. Coming in at number 8, we have Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. A really young, solid player. And this is where the list gets a little harder because, like, all of these guys are phenomenal players. Not saying that Jamal Murray and Jrue Holiday aren't, but, like, this is where the list starts to get hard. Ja Morant this season averaged 19 points, 7.4 assists, 4 rebounds, 44% from the field, and 30% from three. He's only 21 years old, and he has a lot of room for improvement. I'm looking at his three-point percentage at 30%. He needs to get that up. But he's a phenomenal player. The Grizzlies really chose correctly when they took Ja Morant. I think the Grizzlies have a bright future. Ja Morant specifically has a really bright future. He'll be one of the best players in the NBA. He'll be a top 10 player in the NBA one day. I'm that high on him. He reminds me of Russell Westbrook not just me, I'm pretty sure he reminds everybody of Russell Westbrook. Like, just a phenomenal player, can do basically everything out there, plays super above the rim, really anti-gravity kind of player, you know, like just defies physics. That's what he reminds me of. His defense is a little he can work on that. Again, he's young. Young players normally aren't defensive geniuses, except for like a few here and there. So he'll get that together, and eventually one day he'll be a top 10 player in the NBA. All right, coming in at number 7. This could be a really controversial pick, just because he was just in the NBA Finals. But I got Chris Paul. Yeah, Chris Paul is just an elite point guard, probably top 4, 5, maybe even 3 point guard of all time. He's that guy. If this was a couple years ago, Chris Paul would definitely break the top 5, probably even the top 3. But he's 36. His game's going to slow down eventually. I know we've been saying that for a couple years now, but it's getting to that point. He's going to be slowing down here soon. Last season, he averaged 16.4 points per game, 9 assists, 4.5 rebounds, 50% from the field, 39.5 from 3, and led his team, along with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, of course, to the NBA Finals. Chris Paul would be arguably the second best point guard of all time had he won a championship at this point. But 36 years old, playing for the Suns. Don't get me wrong, the Suns are a really good team. I just think last season was his best chance to win a championship. I think he's going to retire ringless, because this coming season it's obviously the Lakers Nets. Barring injury, it's the Lakers Nets in the finals. One of those teams are going to win. So I just think he missed his opportunity to win a championship. Coming in number 6, Russell Westbrook. This last season he averaged 22.2 points per game, 11.7 assists, 11.5 rebounds, shot 43% from the field and 31.5% from 3. Last season, Russ broke the all-time triple-double record set by Oscar Robertson back in the 60s at 182. He averaged a triple-double again for the 4th time in his career. Remember, let's just take a minute and remember a couple, like 6-7 years ago, no one thought it would be possible to average a triple-double in the NBA ever again. No one thought it was possible. Russ did it. And the only other player to ever do it was Oscar Robertson back in the 60s. And he did it once. Then Russ did it again, and then again, and then again. People underestimate Russ at this point. Like, they don't give him the credit he deserves. He's one of the best point guards of all time. He's the most athletic point guard of all time. He's probably a top 5 most athletic player of all time. He's just elite. People love to knock him because he doesn't shoot well, but that's the one thing he doesn't do. He can't shoot threes. We know that at this point. 31% from 3 this last season. Not good for his position. We understand. But he brings everything else to the table. He plays 110% every game, gives the most effort I've ever seen from any player. And the one thing he's missing from his resume, I mean, he's got MVPs, he's got scoring titles, he's got assist titles, he's got all that, all-star game, all that. The one thing he's missing is a championship. Now he plays with LeBron and Anthony Davis on the Lakers. My man can probably win a championship this season, and I'm rooting for him because he is my favorite player in the NBA. All right, cracking to the top 5, we got Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. This last season, he averaged 25.3 points per game, 9.4 assists, 4 rebounds, 44% from the field, and 34.3% from 3. That last stat really shocked me because I've watched a lot of Hawks games, and I thought Trae Young shot at least like 36% from 3. So I was really shocked to find out he only shot 34%, which is a little low for a point guard. I mean, it's not terrible. 34% is doable, but it's not, what you want from your point guard. But he's phenomenal. Trae Young, how old is he? 22. He's 22 years old. He led his team to the conference finals in the East. Lost to the eventual champs, Milwaukee Bucks. There's no shame in that. When you lose to the person that wins the championship, there's no shame. The Hawks blew everyone's expectations this year. Like, no one expected them to go that far. and they did. And it's all because of Trae Young. I mean, sure, he has help, but let's be honest, it's mainly because of Trae Young. It's just phenomenal player. 22, hasn't even hit his prime yet. He's going to be one of the best players in the NBA in a couple of years. He's being compared to Steph Curry at this point, who, spoiler alert, is still to come on my list. He's being compared to Steph Curry at 22 years old. Like, that's such high praise for a really young player. All right, at number 4, we have Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. This last season, he averaged 27 points per game, 6 assists, 4.8 rebounds, 50% from the field, 40% from 3. And I'm going to throw this in there just because it's important. 90% from the free throw line. Yes, Kyrie Irving joined the 50-40-90 club. Think about that. He's phenomenal. Kyrie Irving has the best handles the NBA has ever seen. No one dribbles like Kyrie Irving. He's just a magician with the ball in his hands. He really is. You don't believe me? Listen to what Max Kellerman had to say.
No one's more spectacular than Kyrie. Let me check that. No one's as spectacular as Kyrie.
He's fearless. He can do things with the basketball that very few people have ever been able to do.
Kyrie's the best show in basketball.
I took that from the person that made the Kyrie Irving mix we're watching right now, actually. I took that from his video. That's the reason why there's music playing in the background. But still, what they said is absolutely true. No one's been able to do anything near what Kyrie Irving is able to do with the basketball. He's just the best dribbler the game has ever seen. And he plays for the Brooklyn Nets. He's already got one championship. He won with LeBron on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he plays for the Brooklyn Nets. They can win another one. He can be a 2-time champ by the time it's all said and done. 3-4-time champ. He's only 29. Let's keep that in mind. He's only 29. And I'm just waiting for the Brooklyn Nets and Lakers finals that we're going to get this season. It's going to be great. Kyrie, KD, James Harden versus LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. I can't wait for that. And now this is where it gets really hard. We're getting into the top 3. These guys are all interchangeable, so we can move them around here and there. But I think that basically everyone that watches basketball will agree these are the top 3 point guards in the NBA. So at number 3, we got Luka Doncic. This last season, he averaged 27.7 points per game, 8.6 assists per game, 8 rebounds per game. He shot 48% from the field and 35% from 3. This man will probably be the best player in basketball in like 5 years max. He's just phenomenal. I don't really have too much to say about Luka Doncic because if you're a basketball fan, which I'm assuming you are, you've heard everything there is to say about Luka Doncic. He's just great. And yeah, there's not much to say about him at this point. It just really sucks he's on the Mavericks because he's kind of wasting his talent there. But it's okay. There's still plenty of years. He'll probably get better teammates or leave probably. And he'll probably win a championship when it's all said and done. He's just that good. I can't see him retiring without a championship. And at number 2, we got Damian Lillard of the Portland Trail Blazers. This last season, he averaged 28.8 points per game, 7.5 assists, 4.2 rebounds, while shooting 45% from the field, 39.1% from 3. Damian Lillard is the second best point guard in the NBA. You can't really deny it unless you want to put Luka above him. But other than that, there's no one you can really put above Damian Lillard. He's fantastic from everywhere on the court. He's one of those guys that can beat your entire team by himself. He's that good. I just really hate that he's stuck in Portland because they haven't done anything over the last couple years to get better. And he's just going to be one of those players. If he stays loyal, which I'm not going to knock him for being loyal, he will probably retire ringless if he stays with the Trailblazers. It's just at that point. Other than that, nothing you can say about him. There's no argument about this man's talent. And at number 1, we have Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors, probably to nobody's surprise. I'm going to keep this one short because at this point, there's not really much we haven't heard about Steph Curry. The best shooter of all time. No one shoots better from 3 than Steph Curry, ever. And probably never will. He's just that marksman of a shooter. He's a 3-time champion, 2-time league MVP. One of those being unanimous, the only unanimous MVP in NBA history. the second best point guard of all time behind Magic Johnson. There's no debate in my mind that he's the best point guard in the NBA coming next season. Golden State Warriors are going to be better. Klay Thompson's coming back, so look out for Golden State. I think we're going to have a Golden State Lakers conference finals matchup, and I would love to see it. I'm rooting for the Lakers, obviously, because I'm a Russell Westbrook fan, and I want him to get his ring. And Carmelo's also one of my favorite players, so I want him to get his ring too. But people need to be really cautious of this Golden State team. If Klay comes back at even 80% of what he was, I know he hasn't played basketball in 2 years, so that's a big if. But if he comes back at least 80% of what he was, Golden State's going to be a top team, and people need to look out for that team. With that said, I hope y'all like my top 10. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments. Let me know who you want to move around. I feel like my top 3 is really solid though. But like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. I'm going to be making a lot of basketball videos. This is Prodigy Hoops signing off.